Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, we're going to talk about something that is very close to my heart, and that is setting boundaries. From someone who had none to who probably has too many, according to some people, I wanted to just take some time and reiterate the importance of boundaries, as well as share some practical and compassionate ways that you can start putting them in place. So if you're one of those people, who says yes a lot when you actually mean no, or who always puts everybody else's needs before your own, then this video is definitely for you. But before I dive into that, just a quick introduction in case you're new here. My name is Chaitni, and I am a health coach and nutritionist. I work with clients for their weight balance and stress management goals through healthy habit formation, positive lifestyle changes, and intuitive and mindful eating practices. We really focus on a no diet culture and really spend more time on developing healthy coping tools, making some lifestyle changes, and starting to eat mindfully and more intuitively. So if you like this video, then please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And if you're more of a reader, I do send out bi-weekly blogs. The link for that will be in the description. Those blogs really focus on more of my personal journey in terms of mental health and physical health. And lastly, you can follow me on Instagram at Imperfect Bodies by C Modi. So without further ado, let's just dive in. So why do boundaries really matter? And when it comes to the mental health side of it, if you don't set strong enough boundaries, it's going to lead to burnout because you're saying yes so much and you're putting your needs on the back burner. It's going to lead to increased stress, increased anxiety, possibly could also lead to depression, to overwhelm, to resentment. A lot of these negative emotions that when they pile up can get very hard to deal with. And then when you talk about the physical side of it, if you don't set proper boundaries, what's going to happen is you will see some of the physical impacts of it in terms of sleep. It could be poor sleep or a lack of sleep. It could also be gut issues. It could also be feeling tired, fatigued a lot more often. So a lot of side effects to not learning to say no in your favor. It really has a huge impact on your mental and your physical health. And really, when you look at it at the big picture, what this means is, not being able to commit to your health goals, not being able to act on those health goals, and not being able to achieve those health goals that are so important to you. So here are just some common examples, signs really to identify if you have poor boundaries. One of them is you're always so busy, but you're rarely able to make time for yourself. Another one is you are always prioritizing everybody else, and you feel guilty when you say no or you do something for yourself. So pretty much putting that oxygen mask on last is a huge red flag that boundaries need some working for you. Okay, so with all of that information, how do you start to change that? First things first, get clear on your limits. So what that means is, I would say actually do this exercise, write it down or do it on your computer, but make a list of what are all the things and all the people that you find draining, and what are all the things and all the people that you find nourishing, or activities that you find draining or activities that you find nourishing. Once you make that list, basically you want to start cutting back on the left column, or at least my left column, which is everything that is draining, and start adding to everything that is nourishing. This is never going to be perfect. It's not like you're going to be able to completely avoid anything that's draining and only focus on what's nourishing, but you can start to shrink that list of what is draining and start to expand that list of what is nourishing for you. So as an example, going through your emails late at night, maybe that belongs in the drain column. Or maybe it's just doing something out of obligation, or showing up somewhere out of obligation belongs in the no column. Now, if you're doing that maybe 2 or 3 times a week, maybe you cut that down to just once a week if you can get away with that. Or if you're checking your email every single night, maybe there is a night, or there are a couple of nights where you say, no more emails after 9 p.m. or, whatever time frame you want to set. So you don't have to go from 0 to 100 almost immediately, because that's impossible to do, and it takes a lot of motivation. So start small, with whatever you're doing, whatever is in that what drains me column. Pick one thing and start to cut back on it, and just take baby steps and see if it starts to make a difference. Number 2, I briefly mentioned this, but number 2 is start small and be specific. So it's hard to change boundaries drastically all in one go. So start with something really small. Like I said, pick something that's pretty simple and straightforward in that what drains me list, and then work your way from there. So maybe it's something as simple as telling your family that you're doing something really important and to make sure to not disturb you for 30 minutes. That's not asking for too much. Or maybe you're somebody who always takes their lunch at your desk. Then maybe just once a week, maybe if it's a Friday or a Monday, whatever day suits you, during that lunch break, you step away for 20 minutes. You either have lunch in the cafeteria, or you have lunch with a colleague, or you just go outside if the weather permits and you enjoy the scenery out there and have your lunch outside. So take a break. Boundaries are not just about saying no to other people. Boundaries are also holding yourself to a certain expectation that is actually good for you, both mentally and physically. Number 3 is use kind but firm language. This also applies to yourself. You have to talk to yourself kindly and compassionately, especially when you're trying to make a change. So going back to our 20-minute lunch break example, instead of saying, why the hell are you always tied to your desk? Or why the hell can't you just take 20 minutes to yourself? You change that dialogue and you say, I want to take care of myself today, so I want to try this out and see if I can step away for 20 minutes. And maybe you can only step away for 10 minutes to have your lunch, and that's okay. 10 minutes is still better than 0 minutes of not being at your desk. So try that out. That inner dialogue makes a huge difference. The more positive and the more kind it is, the more compassionate it is, the greater the chances of you seeing change. Now, the same thing applies to others as well. You don't need to be disrespectful or confrontational when you're trying to set boundaries. I have a friend who, when we make plans with other friends and it's a social gathering, and if she can't make it, the one thing that she'll always say is, I'd love to, but I've already committed to X, Y, and Z. So I love that. There's nothing confrontational about it. There's nothing, too mean about it. It's very sweet. It's like, I'd love to, but unfortunately I can't. And that's something you can apply to so many scenarios. It's not just with friends, but, any kind of social situations, or even at work is a lot of times if there's, a work gathering outside of it and you don't really want to be a part of it, there's always, I'd love to, but maybe some other time. Or one of my other favorites is, I'll get back to you. Another one is, let me think over it and I'll let you know. And that's all it starts with. All you have to do is take that small step, get that ball rolling by just saying something as simple as, let me think over it and I'll get back to you, or I'd really love to, but I can't this time. That's it. That is all you have to say. And the more you start to say that, the more comfortable you get at saying no. The next thing is to expect pushback and still be consistent. So especially for my drinkers out there, for my smokers out there, a lot of times there is that peer pressure. Even people who are trying to stick to eating healthy, you go out, you're with friends and with family, and they're like, it's okay, you can do dry January some other time, or you can worry about your weight some other time. Just go ahead, have another piece of that cake, or have, another slice of that heart attack, just waiting to happen. So that's normal, that's life, that's practical, but how you respond in these moments is where it matters. And for that, you need to have a very clear purpose. So if you don't have clarity on why you're putting the boundary in place that you have in place, it's going to be very easy to break that boundary. So to give you an example, I am currently not drinking. I haven't been drinking for about 10 months now. And at a lot of social events, there is alcohol, and there is a lot of peer pressure to drink and have a good time, because alcohol is associated with having a good time. And, sometimes it's hard. It's hard to say no, and, it's hard to just stay true to why this is important to me. But I have a very clear why. of why I don't want to drink. And there are times when I even infuse some humor in it and I say, yeah, no, I'm not pregnant with a baby, but I am pregnant with a fur baby because I love dogs. So I joke about that and say, yeah, I have, you know, Coco's brother or sister that I need to take care of. So infuse a little humor, you know, even if it's really crappy like mine is, but you can infuse some of that humor, or you can just, you know, be upfront, again, kindly, and say, you know, I know you'd like me to do this, but it's really not good for me and I really want to take care of myself right now. And sometimes when it comes from that place of you wanting to take care of yourself, the other person gets the point, your friends or your family, they get the point and they will back off. But it's a muscle that you have to constantly flex when you're in these situations. The more you start to say no in a way that feels true to you, like my terrible humor feels true to me, you find something that works for you and you keep doing it over and over and over again, because there will always be people who don't like to hear no and don't want to hear no. With that, I'm going to wrap up here. I've given you some practical tips, and hopefully you can put at least one of them into practice. Like I always say, start with something small, see how it works, tweak it, and then continue with it. Setting boundaries is not easy. It's not simple, especially if you've been a people pleaser, if you still are a people pleaser. It takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of tact, and it takes a lot of practice. So be patient with yourself and start with one thing that you can do, because setting boundaries ultimately is one of the best ways to heal. It's one of the best ways to take care of your body and your mind. So if for nothing else, do it for your health, your mental health, and your physical health. So I hope you figure out or come up with at least one boundary that you want to set or that you want to put into place. However small, it doesn't matter. Just start with something and let's see how it goes. I wish you the very best. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you here very soon. In the meantime, take good care of yourself. Bye.